This news update is brought to you by...
Say hello to Chelsea. Chelsea is a champion surfer, so she's accustomed to moving super fast, which is why she relies on super fast broadband brought to her through Flow's 100% fiber to the home network. It keeps her family sharing and surfing and saving each month. Combined, she bundles her Flow mobile, home phone, and TV services, so she can enjoy much more for much less, and so can you. Visit any Flow retail outlet, call 1-800-804-2994, or visit discoverflow.co to find out more. One-of-a-kind connection. This is how we flow.
This is the Barbados Today afternoon news update for Friday, April 29th. Thank you for joining us. I am Marie-Claire Williams. We begin with news that the Barbados Union of Teachers is meeting with its members today to discuss its next course of action after Education Minister Ronald Jones denied a request to meet with them to discuss their concerns. The union had threatened industrial action if Jones did not meet with them by Wednesday. But Jones said he had always made himself available to hold talks with the union and added that Wednesday's deadline was not appropriate and no alternative date could be set at the time. Union President Pedro Shepherd admitted earlier this week that they have met with Jones to air their concerns, but he says some matters are still outstanding.
I think the only thing that we agreed on at those meetings was the fact that we were going to send to the Ministry of Education the findings of a survey done by the Barbados Union of Teachers with respect to the correcting, or payment rather, of the SBAs. We discussed things like study leave. There is no definitive position today on study leave for teachers. We discussed terms leave. There is no definitive position on that today. So we have not mutually agreed to anything. And I would want to say this evening that the Ministry of Education has indicated on several occasions through its principal officers that there is a new policy in the Ministry of Education where terms leave, which forms part and parcel of our terms and conditions of service, is now not granted in its original form, where a teacher would teach for 15 years and then be given a terms leave the 15th year, after the 15th year, and then every 5 thereafter. We are now told that that has been changed because the ministry has had to look at its finances and look at ways and means of cutting its expenditure.
Tourism Minister Richard Seeley is seeking to clear the air on the operations of regional carrier LIAT. Last year, there were suggestions to move the airline's base to Barbados, but Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown dismissed it as idle talk. Recent reports indicated that the Board of Directors had formalized plans to shift the fleet base from Antigua to Bridgetown, but Seeley says that is not the case.
No, LIAT is not coming to Barbados. We agreed at the level of the shareholders and the directors that rather than have a major hub at VC Bird in Antigua, we would have also aircraft based in Barbados and Trinidad as well, because in essence the connections, given the international flights that come into Barbados, it made sense. I know that the Antiguans apparently were upset when I made this statement, but I haven't said anything about moving the headquarters. That is a separate discussion and is really not relevant in terms of dealing with the viability of the airline. It has to do with the sensible network and the routes that we use and where they should come from. Antigua does not have the level of airlift internationally that Barbados has. LIAT does better with people who are interlining, people who book their flights from outside of the region as well, in terms of the markups that they get. So it makes sense to develop the Barbados hub, given the level of activity in this part of the Caribbean. It's not that we're going to shut down VC Bird. You will still need to have activity up there, aircraft based up there, but we would need to have aircraft based here. And this is what was agreed at the board level. I haven't announced anything.
One of the island's largest bakeries could be hit by industrial action on Sunday. A source within the company, Purity Bakeries, told Barbados Today that management has been given until tomorrow to reverse a decision not to pay staff triple when they work on May Day. It is understood that the Barbados Workers' Union has instructed the more than 100 employees of Purity Bakeries not to turn up for work if the human resources manager did not reverse her stated position not to pay staff triple for working on May Day.
There's regional and international news after this short break. Your first friend, your first love, your first teacher. Show your appreciation for the first lady in your life. Send a photo of you and your mother to We Love You Mom at barbadostoday.bb to be featured in our special Mother's Day photo album and for a chance to win some exciting prizes.
To Mom with love.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter, that's the move for me. Stability, prosperity, we're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
In news from the region, Trinidad's Prime Minister Keith Rowley is calling for independent investigators to examine possible instances of misbehavior in public office by members of the former People's Partnership administration. We get the details in this report from TV6 News in Port of Spain.
An Express article on Sunday shows the links between the special branch officers who were investigating then Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar over a marijuana find in her house and the receipt of HGC houses, having leave bought out, the receipt of priority bus route passes, or a new job at the NOC. There have been recommendations for charges to be laid against the officers involved. Now, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley wants investigations into the former Prime Minister or anyone else who may have been involved in what he called inducements to officers to alter their investigation.
Today, I call on all the authorities in Trinidad and Tobago who have it within their remit to intervene and take steps to ensure that these matters are thoroughly prosecuted, investigated, and prosecuted. That this be done as part of the catharsis that's required in Trinidad and Tobago.
The independent investigating bodies are the Integrity Commission, the DPP, who has the power to instruct the police, or the police commissioner himself. But there's an open skepticism from the public over the competence of many of these entities.
I have to maintain confidence in the systems, even though we have questions as to their effectiveness from time to time.
In an immediate response, former Housing Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal said the Prime Minister should have written to the DPP or the Commissioner privately instead of naming names.
And further afield, deadly fighting has resumed in Syria's divided second city of Aleppo after a brief lull overnight. State media is reporting today that rebels shelled a mosque in the government-held district of Bab al-Faraj, killing 8 people. Rescue workers also say that a clinic in the rebel-held Marja was targeted in an airstrike. It was the second medical facility to be hit in a week. The Free Aleppo Doctors Association says at least 50 people had been killed, and the executive director of Doctors Without Borders, Vicky Hawkins, described the attack on the hospital as devastating.
The hospital was the main referral centre for pediatrics in the area. It had an emergency room, an outpatient department, intensive care units, operating theatre. It was a fully functioning hospital. Its location was known by all the parties involved in the conflict. So once again, we have a hospital whose location is known, is communicated, being hit by parties to the conflict, and it's obviously absolutely devastating for the population's ability to continue to receive healthcare at a time when the ceasefire in Syria would seem to be breaking down.
And finally, a high court in South Africa has called for a review of a decision to drop 783 charges of corruption against President Jacob Zuma. The charges were dropped weeks before the 2009 poll in which Zuma was elected to office. Judge Aubrey Ledwaba says the decision by the chief state prosecutor at the time was irrational. The case was brought by the opposition Democratic Alliance, and it clears the way for prosecutors to reinstate the allegations. Zuma denies the charges, which are linked to a government arms deal in 1999 worth billions of dollars. And that's the news. Remember, there's more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also tune into Channel 99 on Flow TV or Mix 96.9 FM for more news. I am Mary Claire Williams. Good afternoon.